I can take any questions about vibe coding, about your doubts on vibe coding, why you should even learn it. Everything is up for grab. I can also double click on the secret sauce behind succeeding in these. Go ahead, Pooja, then Pawan.
Thank you, Mahesh. That was very helpful. A couple of questions. Number one, do we get to choose the tools that we want to use in a vibe coding interview, or will they actually
Yeah,
tell you these are the set what you can use?
yeah. Generally, what I've seen is they don't care, but if they have
Okay.
purchased a subscription for you, they will tell you, right? And it's okay
Okay.
not to use that. That's okay. But what you did here is a tool agnostic thing. You could have
Yeah.
taken the prompt and pasted in V0, Lovable, Replit, Code, Cloud Code, all would have performed the same way. So just make yourself
Okay.
familiar, but your doc should be similar and you should just iterate on your document. And one thing people are doing a lot because they want you to succeed too. So they give you this upfront, the problem, what they will make you code. So just make sure the framework you copy, not my prompt, but the framework, which is
Yeah.
discussing, narrowing the scope, bringing the iteration of taste and attention, and then bringing on top of that what is the metrics, what are the events you will put in your code, all that.
Okay, this I didn't expect. Like they're gonna give you the question and what they want you to solve. Because I was thinking, what if we go to a vibe coding interview? I have no background on what the interviewer is asking me to do. It's a similar product, like a product question, right? Like if I don't know about fintech, for example, and suddenly they ask me to create a dashboard and how to do something, I
Yeah,
don't have the background knowledge for it. So how do I kind of tackle that situation?
yeah. So I said that right in the beginning. When I said let me just warm up the MVP requirement, I discussed the constraints there. And in the constraint, I said, hey, for this interview, for next 20 minutes, I will focus on UX clarity and I may not be bringing a lot of financial insights. So you
Okay.
just say, you describe the user journey. The user journey is they upload a contract, they get a term, they get a risk. And if they like the terms, they can validate quickly. And then they want to export it into something, JSON. So
Okay.
agree on that journey. Your job in the first 5 minutes is to job to be done and breaking it down into critical user journey. If you
Okay.
have nailed that, then you are coding that critical user
Right.
journey in your first prompt. And
Yeah.
that is what you need to agree with me in first 5 minutes. One thing I would suggest people in vibe coding is that do not go and start making it a product sense interview. Do not start doing your like three pain points. These are the three solutions because by the time you are done with all that exercise, I got zero signals on vibe coding because you will spend 30 minutes. I want to see you code, iterate. I want to see your meta prompting skills. You have so much to show me, no? So just in the beginning, take a lot of assumptions. Say, hey, I'm here. I'm building this dashboard for uh, what Robinhood, which will be tracking the new crypto transactions, and I'm the PM for that. I am building the first app which allow people to trade crypto on Robinhood platform. How it works is the customer comes in, they type the token they want to, they see the token, they see a recommendation from us, and they can decide to buy right there, or they can click a research button and get a research. Do you agree? You and me agree? Then you say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. By the way, we are trying to track how much time it takes for user to go from they know what to buy or they want to buy something they don't know to make a buying decision. And these are the 5 critical steps in that journey, critical user journey. And on each step, this matter for them. Once you and me agree, you can just start typing that also on a document. And then you take what you typed, take it to ChatGPT or something and say, I am trying to create an app using vibe coding. Give me a prompt that I can paste in V0 Lovable that allow me to create this app. Your structure of the prompt is goal, role, task, checks, limitations, and guidelines for first iteration. Then you get the prompt, you quickly open V0, you paste the prompt. When you pasted the prompt, now you are discussing why you had this prompt or editing the prompt for the second iteration already. Because that will take like 2 to 3 minutes to build it. You are sitting with the interviewer idle. Now show your competency, which is, hey, ideally, I will change this prompt into this. Let's edit the prompt while it builds the first version because seeing is believing. When we'll see, we will get more ideas. And then you got the first version, and then you move from there saying, oh, actually, it doesn't have validation. Oh, I know that AI screws up a lot. Let me add an edit button. Oh, let me come up with this. Let me come up with that. And that's your next version. And then you edit the prompt or create a new one. And then you go back and forth.
That was very
Thank you,
valuable,
Pooja.
Mahesh. Thank you.
Yeah, I know this is not a framework I can give you, but I think we learn a lot by doing these messy things together. So I wanted today's session to be little messy and very agile. I hope that was helpful. Pawan, then Devi, then Ronnie.
Hi, Mahesh. Actually, my question is little one level up. My question related to biohacking and AI evaluation. Actually, suppose I have developed any app suppose I'm taking education app. So I don't want to be suppose anyone want to hack to the to buy coding similar to buy coding. They try to hack through biohacking. So I want to stop that. So for that I have created four or five layers. Suppose a fraud, you can say fraud. After that, extortion, some geopolitical issues, all the things. So I have done the four or five layers through the reinforcement learning. So that that means no one can steal the data. No one can, that means that no one can hack my app. So after coming to here, after that, uh, because I am using four or five layers, so I am using four or five models. So four or five models. So I want to do AI evaluation for all. That means, so how will I do cost optimization in there for AI evaluation? Because suppose I am using agent, so four and five level, it will cost more. So the main question is cost optimization in AI evaluation here.
Okay, couple of things. A lot of things our friend Pawan landed on us here. So let's break that down. Number one is how to avoid AI hacking or vibe hacking, which is this idea that I can copy if I want to build an Airbnb today. It will take me 5 minutes, which the maker of Airbnb to build that experience and this taste in the product for almost 3 years. They iterated what works, what doesn't work. If you want to build Craigslist today, if you want to build anything like Facebook today, or if you want to build QuickBooks today, it takes you 5 to 10 minutes because you can just go vibe code it away. You can just say, hey, can you look at all the flows on Airbnb and give me exactly the same website? And it will give you the same website and you are ready to go. For that, our friend Pawan is saying is, okay, people are trying to copy my stuff. But what I have done is the quality of my responses is better because I have set up evaluations and I have these edit buttons, right, in our contract app. And people are editing, they are giving me feedback. With the feedback, I know what is good versus bad. And then I take this good and bad, and then I go and do reinforcement learning. I train my models to do more good than less, and my models are better. Maybe you will build the same UI, but when you click search, my model gives you the most relevant houses to book if you are building Airbnb. If you are building a contract app, my key terms are more precise, my key terms are more accurate because I have done reinforcement learning. Now, what my friend is asking here is that, okay, I've done this, but now I have done it at 4 or 5 levels. It's costing me a lot of money to first hire these people which are telling me good or bad. Hopefully, you don't have a lot of customers, so you're hiring lawyers or you are hiring these travel experts to, if you're doing Airbnb or if you're doing contracts, then you're hiring lawyer. He's saying these are expensive. How can I scale it? So when we talked about LLM scaling, we talked about these ideas of LLM as a judge, which can only work 20 to 30%. Then we talked about AI evaluators, which can take 20 to 30% of your work. And all this will cost you too, right? So there is no like easy bullet here. So you can automate some of that using these. Then on top of that, for your reinforcement learning, you can figure out like PEFT, the techniques there. And I can go on and on, Pawan, but I wanted to stick to like the topic today. Okay, you want to differentiate, you want to evaluate, you want to build your models, it's going to cost. So that's number one. Yes, there will be cost, but the cost has outcomes, right? You have a differentiated product. And maybe that's what you are charging your customer for. You have a differentiated product because of evaluations, which is one big differentiator. And because of that, you cost more, maybe 10x more. So that's one way, not what you wanted, but that's how I will solve this problem, not by reducing the cost. Second, reducing the cost is you can use AI to judge AI, which is what we discussed in the course. By the way, if somebody can find it, I have a course now live on LinkedIn, which talks about how to scale your evaluations using AI. So we talked about same example. You build your app, you scale it with LLM as a judge, then you scale it with AI evaluators, then you build a red teaming army of AI agents which attack your app and try to break it. And I show that all end to end on that LinkedIn Learning course. I highly recommend all of you should go do that course. You just go to LinkedIn Learning, search Mahesh Yadav. It's the only course I have there. It just launched 48 hours ago, I believe. So you can do that. See, Pawan helps me sell. He's a seed to sell my stuff.
Hi, Mahesh. I have two questions. But before I get there, thank you very much for taking your time and giving your knowledge freely out to all of us. This day and age, everybody who's a little bit of an expert in AI is trying to monetize it. Bounce. Even someone who's a little bit is trying to monetize, but you have so much expertise and you're giving it out freely. So really appreciate your time and helping the community here. My first question, when you put the Venn diagram with your 3 circles and you said be up to date on what's going on in the industry. So right there is there's so much information that's coming out literally every day. So it's almost overwhelming to be up to date, let alone put your head down and do something worthwhile. So how do we manage being up to date? Understanding the AI ecosystem. How do we manage that against working on some project?
Okay, how can I stay up to date? There's so much changing, and I need to learn so much. I'm doing projects, but I need to learn so much also. So I think I agree, first of all, even for me, there is so much if I want to stay on top of, and I'm not on staying on top of it. So what I have done is I've restricted my sources. So I consume information from, and somebody should put it on the chat. I have given a list of things to follow. That list is like people I follow and the things I read, which takes me 2 hours a week and keeps me up to date. And that has not failed me for last 2 years. So you can hack that and use my list and follow that. My list is little more sophisticated because I have grown up in this area for last 5-10 years. So for that, what we have done is we have started a newsletter, which we send and we read everything in the world. And we give you one thing to do in a week. Just read that newsletter. If you read that newsletter, we are covering all of this for you. So we are doing that. Arjita runs that for us, and she can add you to the newsletter. You will get that for free. We don't charge for that on Substack or anything. It's all free. We won't click. You need not to click a button and then say upgrade. So just do that. That's my second answer. So attend our Friday sessions and read the newsletter is your hack. But if you want to go under the cover and say, I want to do more, please get that list and subscribe to those 3 or 4 newsletter and read them. That should be 2 hours every week. And if you can block that time, that's what it costs. Second question, Debbie.
Thank you. Yeah, my next question is like you're talking about vibe coding. That's when you actually land an interview. So before you land an interview, like when you need to showcase your skill set to even be picked up for an interview. So I'm going to your portfolio website where you can showcase. How detailed do you need to go on your portfolio website for a specific project? Do you just put a write-up? And how many is an ideal number for projects on your portfolio website?
I think one. One is the ideal number. So I think you should just focus on one problem and just keep iterating on that problem for rest of your life before you achieve your goal. You need not to like try 10 different things. Every idea in AI can be solved with one problem that you have and you care about. So pick one problem, but show iteration of that. Your project idea should be, this is my first iteration. This is then I did, like I was showing you the layers on it. Okay, this was our first launch. We talked to first customer. It got me one customer. This is then what we did. We learned these 5 new secrets. Then we did this. Then we did this. People want to see that rather than showing 10 different desperate projects that you have done. And all are showing same things, which is like, I build this, I build this, I build this, and I don't care. I want to see how you build businesses or how you show care about a problem and then go solve it. And when you solve it, you discover something that I want to hire you from because If you don't come, then I have to discover those myself. Harsha.
Yes, this is a question to get your opinion as a product leader about vibe coding. Vibe coding is great and all that, but what do you do with the code that gets generated behind the prototypes? Is it like throwaway code, or even, I mean, is it like nobody looks at it after you do the prototyping thing? And I'd like to get a perspective on how this affects product debt. Sorry, technical debt in building products. So
I
just
think there are a
wanted your
couple of things, right? I will give you two or three. So one is what happens after this. I think if you're hiring an agency to build it, so there are two or three scenarios here. One is you're building for the very first time a new product. You can give this code to an agency and say, this will reduce your time to build your first prototype and the cost. Even if they say reject it, at least you have given clear requirement and you have shown what you want, which takes a lot of iterations and a lot of wasted time. So that I think is your number one. Number two is, okay, I have existing code, I have an existing app. You are building a feature on top of it. So you did that. I know I need to go to another call. But okay, in that case, what it adds? Then you want to do vibe coding a little bit differently. You want to do it in Cursor, and there are other tools which allow you to add to an existing code. There also, you don't throw it away. You give it to your engineer, and your engineer can take some of it. Even if they don't take it, you can give them your prompts and say, hey, dude, I was able to build it. Maybe throw away, but see, I could do it. And at least they use it to test your product, and you can start testing. So these are the two ideas I have. I will take one question quickly from Akhil.
Yeah, first of all, great session, Mahesh. Thanks for that time. But yeah, I think you briefly talked about this, but just wanted to understand from your perspective, right? Like, how do you answer that question, or find the right balance between the question on measuring success, right? Like, for example, right now the prompts generated more AI metrics, like what is accuracy and ROC, etc. But what about the business metrics like conversion, retention? So how should we
Yeah, and that's what
find
I
the
said,
balance?
right? Yes. So I said in the last one that what are my metrics? My metrics, and then I put up metrics, and then I created a dashboard for that metrics. The metrics was measuring how much time it took from the user, uploaded contract to downloading JSON, uploading contract to extracting key terms, uploading contract to editing. Because every time they edit, we failed. So you have creating your vibe coding not only for the product but also for your metrics that business care. And then you can show this is what do I care. I created a dashboard also, and every time user does these things on our app, we will see how it is performing on our key metrics. And you should bring both of them. That's your third step in the interview. Team, it was so much fun. We should do more of these kind of live things where we craft things together. I will see you again next Friday. And I think we are talking about vibe coding again, or it is a session with
Next Friday, we have
design.
a designing session. Yeah.
Design session. We have a guest and we will talk about taste in your products. So if vibe coding is about designing, then we will have an expert and we will do a podcast kind of interview, and she will bring in a lot of expertise in design and show you how to bring the best design practice to the world. So don't miss the next one. See you then. Bye, team.